Welcome to Learning English, where we're ready to elevate your language skills. Here, learning happens through stories that are slow, clear, and engaging. Just listen, relax, and enjoy the journey. 1. The high cost of a dream receiving. Acceptance letter from a dream college is a wonderful feeling. It signifies a significant opportunity for the future. For many young people, however, this happiness is short-lived. The letter also represents a substantial financial burden. It means taking on significant debt comparable to a home loan before even attending the first class. This is the reality for millions of young Americans today. Numerous students graduate with tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Some owe considerably more. This debt can be a heavy weight for many years. The total student loan debt in America is staggering, exceeding $7 trillion. This immense debt impacts countless lives. A college degree once reliably led to better job prospects and higher earnings, serving as a clear path to a better life. Now, that path comes with a very expensive price tag. Students face pressure to repay their loans, which can make a difficult start to their adult lives. A common question is, why is college in America so expensive? This is a major concern for students, families, and the nation. This story will explore some of the answers. Higher education today is vastly different from in the past, too. 3 types. Of schools, there are 3 primary kinds of higher education institutions. All of them receive funding from student tuition payments. However, they also get funding from other sources, which vary by type. First, there are public schools. It's often known as state schools. They receive a portion of their funding from the state government. This funding helps reduce costs for students, particularly for state residents. Second, are private nonprofit schools. These institutions are not operated to generate profit for owners. They frequently receive substantial donations from benefactors. This money can support the school and provide financial aid to students. Third, there are private for-profit schools. These operate as businesses with the primary goal of making money for their owners or investors. Students pay tuition, and the institution aims to generate a profit. Choosing a college has become complex due to the cost, which is now a major factor in the decision-making process for many families. We will delve deeper into these different types of schools, why college is so expensive now, whether the high price is worthwhile, and what the future may hold. 3. A history of changing costs. A long time ago, in 1636, America's first college, Harvard University, was established. For many years afterward, college was not accessible to everyone. It was an exclusive institution, like a private club. Over time, however, higher education in America began to transform. After World War II ended, government passed the GI Bill in 1944. This legislation provided financial assistance to veterans. This aid enabled many former soldiers to attend college, educating a large number of men and some women. It demonstrated to many American families that a college education was an attainable goal. However, this assistance was not distributed equally. Women and people of color faced significant barriers in accessing funds and gaining admission to colleges due to discriminatory practices by schools and banks. Later, in the 1950s, a significant event occurred in space exploration. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first satellite, into orbit. This event caused anxiety in America about falling behind in scientific advancement, leading to a surge in the popularity of science and math studies, seen as vital for the nation's future. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement advocated for equal rights, which helped to further open college doors. More women and people of color had the opportunity to attend college than ever before. During this period, especially at public state colleges, student costs were low. For instance, California residents paid less than $1,000 in annual fees at some state universities, as they did not pay for instruction itself. But in the 1970s, a major shift began. A growing sentiment against high taxes led to the belief that individuals should personally pay for their college education. Consequently, state governments started to reduce funding for their public universities. As schools received less state money, they had to seek funds from students, leading to higher tuition charges. This is when student loans became common for many families. The financial burden of a college education began to shift from the government funded by taxpayers to individual students and their families. This 1970s change is a key reason for today's high college costs, history shows. How college became more accessible but also significantly more expensive. 4. The rankings race in 1983. A major development occurred in the world of higher education when a prominent magazine published a list titled America's Best Colleges. This was the first attempt by a magazine to rank colleges against one another, using various criteria. It considered factors like a school's financial resources, its reputation, and public perception of its quality. This list fundamentally changed the landscape for colleges. Previously, colleges were distinct entities. After the list's publication, they began to compete fiercely for a high ranking. Achieving the number 1 spot or a top 10 position became paramount. Colleges monitored these rankings closely, striving to improve their position each year. To achieve a better rank, colleges had to meet certain metrics. The rankings considered the academic quality of incoming students, prompting colleges to seek students with high test scores and grades. To attract these top students, schools began offering financial aid known as scholarships. To fund these scholarships, colleges increased their tuition fees for all students. They used a portion of this additional revenue to offer scholarships to high-achieving students, which helped them attract a strong student body and climb the rankings. This created a competitive cycle. All colleges aimed to rise in the rankings and competed for the best students by offering more scholarships. To finance these scholarships, they all raised their prices. This dynamic resembled a race where every school wanted to outperform the others, a game that proved to be very costly. The overall cost of college rose significantly for everyone as a result of this competition. The list, which began as a simple idea in 1983, played a significant role in making college much more expensive over time. 5 state schools and reduced funding. Public schools, also known as state schools, receive funding from their respective state governments. For a long period, this state funding was substantial, which helped to keep student costs low and made college accessible for many. However, this began to change as state governments started to reduce their financial contributions to public universities. This created a significant problem for the schools. They still had to cover expenses for faculty salaries, building maintenance, and course offerings. With less state funding, the schools had to find alternative sources of revenue. This is why tuition at state schools began to increase. To compensate for the loss of government funding, schools raised tuition fees. The cost of attending a public university rose steadily for students and their families, making it more difficult for many to afford a state school education. A critical turning point occurred around 2017. In that year, for the first time, most state schools received more revenue from student tuition than from state governments. The financial burden had shifted primarily to the students. This signifies a major change in the funding model for public colleges. Previously, taxpayers bore a larger portion of the cost through their taxes, which supported the schools. As state funding decreased, the cost shifted from the taxpayer to the student and their family. Students have to bear a much larger share of the cost themselves. This shift has made obtaining a degree from a state school far more expensive than in the past. Although they are called public schools and receive some government money, students now pay a very significant amount. This is a primary reason why many students today graduate with substantial debt. 6. For-profit schools. This section focuses on a different type of college, for-profit schools. These institutions are operated as businesses with the main objective of generating profit for their owners. Approximately 900,000 students attend these schools in the United States today. Many students at for-profit schools rely on government loans to finance their education. These schools often market themselves by promising students good job prospects after graduation. However, the cost can be very high. Furthermore, students from these schools often struggle to repay their loans. The loan default rate for students from for-profit schools is higher compared to students from other types of institutions. Let's consider one student's experience. Her name is Chana, and she was the first in her family to consider attending college. She enrolled at the Art Institute of New York City, which at the time was a for-profit school. She intended to study web design, believing it would lead to a specific career path. However, China found that her visit to the school felt more like a sales pitch than a genuine tour. Being young and lacking family experience with college, she didn't recognize this as a red flag at the time. She left the school after a few months. She came to realize that she could learn web design on her own using free online resources. China's experience was challenging. She was still required to pay for the time she was enrolled. Many Art Institute campuses later closed down. Chena was ineligible for loan forgiveness because she had left just before a specific cutoff date. She needed her academic records, known as a transcript, to transfer to a state school. However, she was unable to obtain her transcript because of her outstanding loan balance. She feels trapped by her situation. She believes these schools target students from low-income backgrounds or those without family experience in higher education. They make grand promises but can leave students with debt and no degree. Some people defend for-profit schools, arguing that other types of colleges, like nonprofits, also generate significant revenue. They contend that the difference lies in how that revenue is used, perhaps to improve the compensation and benefits for their staff. They also claim there is little evidence that for-profit schools are less concerned about student success than other schools. But for many students like Chena, the experience at a for-profit school resulted in high costs, loan difficulties, and a challenging path forward. 7. Private nonprofit schools. This chapter discusses private schools that are not operated for profit. Consider a student like Amari, who attended a private college in a major city. She now has over $40,000 in student loan debt. These schools often have prestigious reputations and aim to be recognized as the best. To achieve this, they compete with other similar institutions to attract top students. One competitive strategy involves constructing new facilities. They offer numerous student services, such as high-quality housing and study areas. All of these amenities are expensive. The official tuition at these schools, often called the sticker price, is typically very high. However, many students do not pay this full amount. These schools frequently offer financial aid, known as discounts or scholarships. As a result, the actual price a student pays can be significantly lower. It may seem counterintuitive, but a large portion of tuition revenue at these schools is used in a specific way. Nearly half of the tuition paid by some students is used to fund financial aid for other students. This money helps cover the cost of attendance for others through discounts or grants. Even with these discounts, the cost can still be substantial. For students, Mari did not pay the full price at her college, but she still graduated with a large amount of debt. She now has to repay more than $40,000. Managing this debt is a struggle for her. She makes monthly payments of about $2,000 in an effort to pay it off more quickly, hoping to be debt-free before she turns 30. Her debt is a constant source of stress. It makes it difficult for her to save money or invest in her future. Her experience illustrates that even at well-known private schools, the cost and resulting debt can be a significant problem. 8. Is a college degree worth the price? Today, many are asking a critical question. Is a college degree worth its high cost? For many years, the answer was a resounding yes. In the past, over half of the population believed a 4-year degree was a good investment. But that sentiment is now less common. Some students express uncertainty about their decision to attend college. They wonder if they should have delayed their enrollment instead of going directly after high school. They feel that 18 is a very young age to make a lifelong career decision. One individual shared this feeling, even as they approached their 25th birthday, admitting they still didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. This sentiment coincides with a changing job market. Experts predict that in the future, many jobs will require some level of college education. It is anticipated that a large percentage of jobs will require at least some post-secondary education, simply to be considered for an application. This means that to access many job opportunities, one must first invest in education. This presents a difficult choice for young people. College is expensive, and many students graduate with significant debt. Obtaining a degree and the potential for a future job worth accumulating so much debt. people are increasingly weighing the value of a degree against its cost. The traditional notion that college is the automatic next step after high school is no longer a given for everyone. With high tuition and student debt, young people must carefully consider whether college is the right path for them. It is a major decision with significant consequences for their future. 9. What can be done? College is very expensive, and many students accumulate large debts. People are considering potential solutions to this problem. It is a complex issue because multiple factors contribute to the high cost. There is no single, easy solution that will fix everything. However, various ideas are being tested across the country to assist students and families. One such idea is the Income Share Agreement, ISA, a new method for financing education. Instead of taking out a traditional bank loan, students can agree to repay an individual or group that provides them with money for their schooling. The repayment method involves paying a small percentage of their post-graduation income for a predetermined period, such as 10 years. If they earn a low income, their payments are smaller. If they earn more, they pay more. This concept has garnered support from various groups. Some schools are beginning to implement it. Another approach is being implemented in some states. These states are working to make public colleges tuition-free for families below a certain income threshold. For example, one state has launched such a program for middle-class families at some of its state universities. This allows students from these families to attend college without taking on significant loans. A more comprehensive proposal is to make college free for everyone. Some believe this is an excellent idea, arguing that everyone who wants to attend college should have the opportunity regardless of their family's financial situation. However, others are skeptical. They question who would cover the costs if students do not. Some worry that if college is free, students might not value their education as much. Others see it as a great idea. In some countries, the government and taxpayers fund higher education. This means citizens pay higher taxes instead of repaying student loans later. About 24 countries worldwide offer free or nearly free college to their citizens. Finding the right solution in the U.S. is not straightforward. There are many ideas, but no perfect one has emerged yet. However, student debt continues to grow, and a college degree is essential for many jobs. It's both now and in the future. Therefore, finding a way to make college accessible and affordable for everyone is crucial for the country's future. It will require continued collaboration to find effective solutions.